Hey now. We're here! And we're ready to party. No intro this week, people. Sorry about that. I've been slacking, not really thinking straight. Got too many hobbies on my mind these days, Nick. So
it's good.
No intro for E348. We're coming in hot. We're doing it live, as Bill O'Reilly used to say. F it. I'll do it live. So, hey now, there's a proper one for you. Let's go. We got divided in here. It's looking quiet today. I think they've all left us and moved over to Beyond the Dune Sea, but that's all right. Their show is much more well-produced and interesting than ours, so we fully understand why no one listens to us. But those dudes have been killing it this past month, Nick, with their tier list shit. Like, I know you don't watch a lot of YouTube, but it would be nice to have a Connor on the team, because that guy can do some behind the scenes shit that looks pretty cool.
Production.
Yeah, I think their last one they ranked out all the troopers, and there was like millions of them, so you would have went nuts. But they got like 5,000 views on that for one of their streams, which pretty good for them. So kudos and poo on us as usual. People hate us and never come back, but we're used to it. It doesn't bother Nick; it bothers me. So we'll move on. But I've been scatterbrained. I don't think you'd understand this, Nick, because you've never lived in the North, so you've never experienced 4 seasons.
That's true.
But and I hopefully some other people come in here and can kind of corroborate this. But it's when you live in the North and you go through 4 seasons, both your mind, or all 3 of these, your mind, body, and soul change every quarter. And I've essentially been I'm just going to stay in my house. It's cold, it's miserable, it's dark, essentially since November. It's getting nice now, 50s, 60s, 70s. I like the golf. So now my body and mind has completely shifted to, I don't want to be sitting here right now. I want to be outside with my launch monitor or doing something stupid like that. So it's very odd. It happens every year. And when it comes around to winter again, I'll be ready to go into hibernation. It's just one of those things. All right, hey there, Divided. Hey there, Cole. Good to see you. And Hydra Edits coming in with a sad red thing. Not sure what that is. Mando Pirate is corroborating me. I don't necessarily let the cold depress me. I'll be honest with you. I kind of like that it's okay to just be inside. You know, where you don't feel, I don't know about you, Nick, but when it's you live in a desert, but
yeah,
when it's really nice outside and sunny, it's not raining, don't you feel kind of guilty that you're just sitting inside? Let's say it's not super hot.
I don't, okay. But I'm also a person who does, like, I'm not a FOMO person. I'm not a person who, like, really, I'm also not like a huge beach person or something like that. Like, I'll go out for a walk and stuff like that, and not, like, you know, if
you
Taylor
were born
and I are
for the indoors. All right, that's fine. Not me. Like, it's weird. I need to be outside, and I want to be swinging my golf clubs. But we're here. There's always time for Star Wars time, and there always will be. So good to see those of you joining in. If you're new here, we do this every Wednesday, 5:30 as close as we can get. YouTube.com/Star Wars Time Show. We'll typically have a main segment and a bunch of other horse shit to wade through. So if you're just jumping in here, looking for the 15 coolest Jedi of all time, we'll be there in about 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. All right, my friend, let's go ahead and kick off with some Ask Us Anything. The questions have been drying up, but we are still getting a few here and there. So it's always nice to see what the people want to know about the SWTS hosts, because we are quite enigmatic, as they like to say. We are these cultural icons that people are just dying to learn more about. What makes us tick? What do we like to eat? What do we listen to? You never know what you're going to get on Question of the Week. So let's go ahead and see what they had for us this week, my man. All right, coming in from Baron's Black Series, who has slowed down significantly on Questions of the Week. So
dad duties.
I know I had to pull this from the archives, but he's asking you, Nick. All right, Harry Potter question. Do you think they have a lingerie league for Quidditch? Not sure where his head was at when he was asking this, but clearly he just watched some Harry Potter and he felt like kind of choking one out.
I doubt it, because there's one in like you're sitting on a broom and that would be super awkward. And 2, there's no pads. At least for like the football league, you're wearing pads. And Quidditch is a pretty violent game. If you've ever watched Harry Potter, you can take some pretty tough spills. So I don't think that they have one of those going on for Harry Potter's Quidditch league.
Is there actually a still standing lingerie league here in the States?
I think there is.
Still exists.
I think there's lingerie football league. Yeah.
I know, depending on where you live, I think there's like actual female football teams as well. I don't quite understand that one, but all right.
I barely follow the NFL. The only like things that I follow in the NFL are pretty specific to the Saints, and then I catch off-season news just through like my Google News feed. Right. So if there is an all-female league, I don't know about it, but it's not because I'm well informed about football. Yeah, it's because I just don't pay that much attention to it.
Yeah, I don't listen. I know this is going to sound sexist, and I'm far from it. I don't understand girls in contact football or girls in wrestling, like amateur wrestling. I love girls in like sports entertainment wrestling, but wrestling. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't understand it. You can do it all
competing against each other.
Yeah, like I don't know, like why? I mean, there are some conferences. Why did dudes do it? There are some conferences where girls wrestle boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen that.
So I don't know, man. Guys do it because we have testosterone. We like banging our heads in the walls. That's why. That's what I'm saying. Like, why do girls want to beat the shit out of each other? It doesn't seem like you're wired that way. But
I mean, clearly they are if they're choosing to do it.
Like I said, I don't understand it. It's quite you people do whatever you want. We're not one of these channels that's going to tell you how to live your life, even though we're about to be told how to live ours. All right. Honestly, Spencer, if they had one, I would pay and I'd go watch it because we all know I'm the creep here, and I get my rocks off on very cheap thrills these days, being in my 40s. I could look outside and see a cloud, and if it looked like a pair of boobs, I might get excited. That's just what happens the older you get. All right, next question coming from Mac122198. That's our boy Mike Kramer. 2 questions for the of you. What do you think the Steelers and the Saints need in the draft? All right, let's start with that one. The Steelers need a new head coach, which you're not going to get through the draft, so the draft is not going to matter. If you want a real answer, they need a real quarterback, but they're not going to get that because Mike Tomlin is average enough to ensure that they never get a high draft pick, which is why they will never find someone like Ben Roethlisberger or some of these other studs that have come out of nowhere and taken their teams to the AFC, NFC championships in year 1. So it's always going to be QB, but Mike Tomlin needs to get fired before that. All right, Nick, Saints.
I mean, it's quarterback, but it's a shitty quarterback draft class. Like, I don't think that there's a decent quarterback in this draft class, to be honest with you. I mean, Shador Sanders may be good.
I doubt it. You got to think that kid has lived nothing but a life where he's been told he's awesome. His dad's awesome. Everything about the Sanders family is awesome. I don't think he's going to work well with other people.
Yeah, and it's like he definitely has made some like flashy plays in Colorado, but like that program wasn't like super special or anything. Like, and that was Dion built it around his son and Travis Hunter, and Hunter was clearly the star there. I mean, honestly, our biggest position of need right now is probably wide receiver. We have Chris Olave, and that's it. But he's been pretty injury prone the last couple of years, and he's a smaller receiver as well. We don't have a very big.
Don't you talk shit about Olave? He brought me plenty of joy up here in Columbus, Ohio. So.
Yeah. I'm just saying. If we had somebody to compliment him, I feel like that would probably be the best move to do. But
Mike
honestly,
Thomas has gone completely nuts, right? Like,
nobody will sign him.
You guys kicked him out, and he's like sits out and pickets he sits outside the stadium and shit now.
Yeah, like I don't even know where he's at because he wasn't on our team for the whole season.
He was
nobody
awesome.
Picked him up.
I mean, he was like your number one, and then he did like something falling out with the coaches. Who knows? But he hates the Saints, and I don't know if he'll ever play again. All right.
Yeah, I doubt he will. But yeah, I would say receiver is probably the biggest need right now.
Next question from Kramer here. Do you think that we will see the Ghost Crew in Andor Season 2?
No.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Not in a Tony Gilroy production.
Your best bet is another like rolling through the hangar tease that you got in Rogue One, where you saw Chopper kind of scooting through, and I think you could see the ghost maybe in one of the overhead shots. It would be similar to that. I don't think, like Nick said, Lord Gilroy is going to play with anyone else's toys, so they're not going to bring in live action Hera. They're not going to bring in live action Zeb. At best, you're going to get some background stuff, and even that I think is a long shot. As Tony Gilroy has said, and he had a sweet shirt made for you. It's called like the Narkina 5 swim team, to kind of make fun of Kino Loy. I thought that was kind of neat. But he said he is trying to take Star Wars and portray it in the most serious way possible, which means he ain't fucking around with cameos and stuff.
Yeah, I that was just never his bag, right? I feel like he did his part in Rogue One and used Vader because he had to use Vader, but yeah, I mean, if you just look at Andor, there were season 1, there were plenty of opportunities to bring in cameos of characters that were relevant during that time period, and it just never happened. And I doubt that he's going to take an entire crew of animated Star Wars heroes and bring them in that way. There's no way.
Here's where it will get weird, and canon starts to get muddy. And he already told us, the Gorman Massacre, yeah, it's this, it's canon that, but I'm here. I'm Tony fucking Gilroy. I'm going to settle the Gorman Massacre and make the new canon. So what I wonder, Nick, I believe in Rebels, there is a scene of Mon Mothma essentially delivering the speech to the galaxy, and she's on the Ghost, letting them know, like, hey, Palpatine, fuck them, I'm out. We're the Rebel Alliance. Let's rock and roll. So, and he said he's going to show Mothma essentially challenging Palpatine and the fallout from that. So I don't know. Like, do you break that canon? Because that's pretty hardcore canon. That's not coming from books like most of the Gorman Massacre is already covered. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question, right? Because it's like, do you make him adhere to that and just do a live action version of it? I feel like they haven't really pushed him to do anything in particular thus far, and they've kind of let him have free reign. My guess would be, since it's a Filoni specific thing, like Filoni obviously was involved with Rebels as well as Kinberg and others. It would be hard for me to think that they would try to overwrite that in canon. But maybe he does his own thing and he's just like, well, this is new canon now, because
Nick, I just pulled it up. Tough. I just pulled it up real quick, and it's going to be loosey-goosey how he figures this out, because it literally says, in Star Wars Rebels, Mon Mothma, former senator, uses the Ghost crew to help her travel to a crucial rebel meeting, and later she announces her resignation from the Imperial Senate, which he said we will see, and the rallying the rebel cells across the galaxy aboard the Ghost. So she essentially has her coming out party on that fucking ship. So... And he said, we're going to live through those moments. We're going to get through the Gorman Massacre. We're going to get Mon Mothma protesting in the Senate, essentially blaming it at Palpatine, laying the massacre at his feet, and then resigning from said Senate, which leads right into that moment from Star Wars Rebels. So I know we've been talking out of our ass and done a few loops on this one, but that, to me, and I think Nick agrees, that would be a pretty hard shift from established non-words and shit canon.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it really comes down to how much do they respect the animated universe.
So he's not going to do it. That's pretty much what,
probably not.
He ain't going to do it.
If I had to take a guess.
I mean,
because like in his mind, he's like, all right, well, if that's already been done, and like, why don't I do something better? Or why don't I do something that...
fuck
like,
canon. Who cares? I'm going to make Darth Vader a good guy. Luke Skywalker a bad guy.
Star Wars doesn't care about their own canon.
True.
Like they break their own canon all the fucking time. So, And then they're like, oh well, she wasn't really dead. She's just come back now, like with Asajj. Like, oh, I guess Asajj is just alive now. For what reason? We have no fucking clue.
And it doesn't seem like we're getting a clue. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. So
well there you go, Mr. Kramer. We see you dropped in there. Good to see you. Good to see you, Connor Williams. You look new here. They're excited for Andor season 2, but not sure about what's coming next. And yeah, I mean, in terms of TV, the only thing to look forward to is Visions Volume 3, and then at some point Ahsoka season 2. So yeah, who knows? All right, next question here, and Ask Us Anything, coming from Abigail Sky, our divided Skywalker here in the chat. What's your go-to board game or card game for game night, Nick?
I have always really enjoyed a game called Avalon, which is like
is it board or card?
It's a card game, and it's basically a lying game. It's like a game where you're probably playing with between 4 and 6 people, and you have some of the people are traitors and some of them are not, and it's a game about deception and if you can suss out who the liars are. So that one's pretty fun. It's similar to Secret Hitler, if you've ever played Secret Hitler or something like that. But if it's just me and Taylor, one game that we've been playing recently is
Elon.
One game we've been playing recently is Disney Villain. There's a card game for Disney Villainous that's a lot shorter than the standard one. And I can't remember what it's called, but it's one of the newer ones. So we've been playing that one a lot too. So Disney Villainous, and then
did they do like a Star Wars flavor of that card game? I know there's Star Wars Unlimited, which is more like Magic, but Star Wars cards. But that Villainous thing, didn't they have like a Star Wars skin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I actually have that. I played that a couple times with some friends over here, and it's fun. It's that one can get relatively complicated. It's like got some like deeper rules in it than like the card game, but it's still fun. Yeah. Once you get it all figured out.
Have you ever screwed with Unlimited or Magic, like those types of cards?
No.
You never know. Like I guess I just like D&D and Magic just seems synonymous to me. But are those like competing fantastical universes?
They're both published by Wizards of the Coast, but it's just it's very different. Like I didn't even play the Pokemon card game. Like I was just more of a card collector, not really much of a player. And Magic was something that like a lot of my friends have recently gotten into, like in their, adulthood. But I just like Magic is a very intimidating game to approach for the first time. And like, I've just never really been drawn to it like some other people have.
All right. Well, Abby, for me, a go-to card game, and like Nick, it involves some strategy and your ability to kind of work with a partner and potentially lie and whatnot, but it's Euchre. It's a very simple game. Nick's probably never heard of it. I think it's more of a Northern Territory type of game. I never heard of it until I moved to the Midwest. But I love Euchre. It's a great game to have 4 people, 2 teams of 2. You're calling Trump, and you've got Trump cards that can beat those cards and this card. You can kind of renege if you're good enough to try and, be deceptive. But another great one, I love the Exploding Kitten series. I have all the expansions of that. That's a really fun game. Pretty much any game that company makes, I'll screw with. So Poetry for Neanderthals, Throw Burrito. I mean, they got all sorts of wild games. And some Yahtzee every once in a while. It's fun to throw some dice. Euchre spelled EUCHRE, and I recommend just playing through 9 through ace. So 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. That's the best variant of Euchre right there. Look it up, though. It's a fun game. It's a real fun game, especially if you've got like a friend group or you got a partner you like to play games with. You can challenge other people and stuff like that. Okay. We got one coming from Gundam Char. How do you guys think or want the story of Mando and Grogu to end? Love the show. Well, how do I want it to end? Nick, go. I can't. I'm at a loss for words.
I mean, honestly, they already did the perfect end where they're like, we have our own homestead. We're retired. We're just fucking hanging out. I mean, like that was the end.
He's kind of not wrong, but we know that, you know, like a bunch of massive shit's about to happen in a galaxy, and a guy like Din and Grogu probably aren't going to sit idly by. So I don't know. I mean, I think the best ending is ultimately Din Djarin dies and Grogu goes on and to honor his memory. But I don't know. I don't really think these two characters need an end, because so far they're still just tangentially connected to the overall galaxy and the big events. They're more concerned with kind of their little bond and Din, you know, raising Grogu into a full Mandalorian. So I don't even think they need an end. Like Nick said, you almost could have left it at the end of season 3 and just been like, all right, yeah, they're going to do their thing. They're going to gallivant around the galaxy. That's about it. But I have a feeling because of how big of a character Din and Grogu have become, they are going to have a pretty big send-off. I don't think they're killing Grogu naturally. Would they kill a Din Djarin, though?
I mean, I think that they could,
but they probably
but ultimately, like they're not going to. No. I mean, what it'll probably come to is like they'll like, you know, maybe they delay the Rangers of the New Republic stuff, and they're like they become like the first two, you know, people.
Except that's the movie we're about to see. The movie, so, I think, the movie coming out with those two is pretty much, I think, the Rangers of the New Republic series turned into that. So,
yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, like with characters like that, how they're going to come to an end.
I think ultimately it would be a separation, because Mandalorians, if you notice, they don't stay necessarily bonded with their Padawan or their apprentice or whatever they call them. I mean, the whole relationship between Mandalorians and their trainee is essentially like, I'm going to teach you, sometimes in a difficult manner, how to become a real Mandalorian and then kick you out of the nest. So it would probably be more something like that, where they split part ways at the end, both still alive. All right. And the last one here, Nick, what's the coolest weapon in Star Wars?
The coolest weapon in Star Wars. I really like light whips. Yeah, I really like light whips. I think that they're pretty cool. It's a pretty cool like twist on a regular lightsaber.
Oh no, man, they're kind of woke.
Sure. I like them. I mean, I guess another cool weapon is just the Death Star, right? Because that's all that thing is just a.
It's one of the first ones that came to my mind for sure. Was
yeah. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's a Death Star because it can blow up a whole fucking planet.
See, he's not wrong, because that's the one my brain instantly went to. But I'm like, you know, that's probably going to be said. So I drew from the comics, and I don't read them anymore because I got a little goofy. But there was a run where, you know, this archivist of Kira's and Kira, they found this thing called the Fermata Cage. And the Fermata Cage was a Sith weapon / prison that, when enacted, essentially rendered both Palpatine and Vader powerless. Like it like sucked all their energy out, and they couldn't do jack shit. Apparently it's a prison for a Sith Lord, maybe Darth Momin, I don't know, but it's some really mystical, far out type of Sith shit. So I'll go with the Fermata Cage.
Nice.
Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. All you people that don't think we know Star Wars because I bitch about Jedi Survivor. That clip finally hit the internet, dude. Holy fudge. I mean, they were like, look at this idiot. He's never watched Star Wars. He doesn't know Jedi have to parry and counter each other. I'm like, are you guys even listening to what I'm saying? Was I bitching about Cal? When does Cal fight other Jedi in Jedi Survivor? Like barely ever. Okay, I understand when two Force users with laser swords have to parry and counter because that's just fucking sword play. I'm talking about the goddamn low-level cannon fodder troopers that you have to parry and counter. Like, come on, people. Get over your, he must have a skill gap issue. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you have a Jedi with a lightsaber that moves like it's a broadsword that has to parry and counter fucking stormtroopers, okay? When you're going toe-to-toe with a scout trooper and he's blocking your moves, come on. Like, what are we talking about? Grow up.
Yeah.
All right, grow up, everyone.
Yeah. I've never been a huge fan of the Souls-like.
No, but you know how it is, man. Like,
that's just...
People are too coward to put their opinions out there, actually with their face and the words coming out of their mouth. They'll just hide behind their avatars. I'm speaking the truth. You want me to have that? I can play those damn games and make myself miserable for sure. That's not my point. My point is it's stupid. All right? It's stupid to have a Jedi that has to parry and counter stormtroopers. Okay? Yes, I understand countering a blaster bolt is a counter. But are we for real? All right, you people need to grow up. All right, let's move into a little bit of pop culture talk, and then we'll get into that Star Wars time because there's always time for it. But Nick, I caught 2 movies in between last week and this week. First one in theaters, Novacaine, starring Jack Quaid from The Boys and other projects here. You know what? I kind of just took a flyer on this one because I'm still an A-list Stubbs person. I get 4 movies a week now, blah, blah, blah. I like it. It's fun. So I was like, yeah, I'll go check this out. Why not? A movie about a guy that feels no pain and, you know, it looks like it's going to a little bit of a, not a mystery, but, you know, maybe a kidnapping or he has to become an unlikely hero. And for the most part, that's what this movie's about. But there's a pretty decent little twist I didn't see coming that really kind of makes it a little more engaging and interesting than just a guy that feels no pain. But it is kind of funny to watch this, just a regular assistant bank manager take on essentially a gang, and his only power is that he can't feel any of the pain they're inflicting upon him. So it's kind of a neat concept, but beyond the concept, there's actually a decent story and a nice little twist that you're like, oh, okay, I like this. I can get down with this. So I was a fan of Novacaine. Not saying you got to see it in theater, although I'd love you to go check it out in theaters, kind of raise my stock price. But it's definitely one you all should check out at some point in time. The other one, and Nick, I know you probably didn't check it out, but the kid wanted to watch it. The Electric State dropped on Netflix, and
I did see something about that. That's the Russo brothers movie.
Here's the deal. I didn't hate it. I definitely dozed off in between certain parts. I don't know what that says about the movie or myself. I do tend to get a little sleepy on the weekend, especially laying on a couch watching a movie. So I don't know if I'm going to fully blame that on the Electric State. I do think the robots are very cool looking. I think it's kind of rad. They just ran with like the 1950s robot style, and that's just how robots stayed even when they became self-aware. I think where things are a little bit down in this film are Chris Pratt. Like Chris Pratt, I don't know what's happened to this guy, but he doesn't have the mojo anymore. Do you know what I mean, Nick? Like, I don't know if you've seen him in some of these made for streaming movies, or he just doesn't seem like Star-Lord anymore. You know, I don't know if he's channeling like his real life persona more on set or whatnot, because he's kind of a I don't know, you know what I mean? Like in your face religious type of person. But he 100% feels like he is mailing this in. Like I don't know if he's like playing a complete disinterested hillbilly-ish type of character, or he was just disinterested, because he is not even on the same level as some of the CG characters in terms of performance.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen him in anything since Jurassic World Dominion, so that's been quite a while. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm not up on him, but I will say that a lot of these like high budget like streamer, like straight to streamer movies just feel like that in general. Like it just feels like the actors are like, oh, you're gonna pay me $15 million to make a movie that's gonna come out on Netflix? Sure, I'll do it. I mean, that's all that fucking Rebel Moon was. Like Rebel Moon was. I'll just tell
you right now, Rebel Moon's better than this.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But like, that's not a super high bar.
You got it. Like, I know you'll never do it, but if those of you that have held off, you have to watch the extended editions of Rebel Moon. It's a completely different movie and story, essentially. I don't know how he does it, but he's like, yeah, I'll just make one PG-13, the different story, and I'll make one rated R with boobs and blood, and it's a different story. It's a better story, but it's a slog to get through. So, hey, look at that B-Mad showing up in here, throwing around that $5 bill. He wants to see the guns. There you go, bro. Get some. We can show those, just not those hairy nipples like Bango wanted to see last week. But it's good to see you, buddy. We always appreciate you. So here's the deal with the Electric State, though. Because I fell asleep, I'm sure, do you nod sometimes during your programming? Like, you might doze out for 5 minutes or so? Or is this... It
depends on the day. If it's been a long day at work, that can happen for sure.
And don't you, like, if it's a show you want to watch, don't you feel like, oh, fuck, now I either got to rewind it or just rewatch the whole episode? Or are you good? You're just like, fuck it, I'll piece it together in a recap or something.
Yeah, usually I'll just wait till the end of the episode, and if I really feel like I've missed something, then I'll be like, all right, I got to go back.
I was normal like you.
Yeah, I mean, because mostly, like, I'm not watching TV by myself in general. So, like, if that happens to me, I'm not going to be like, hey, I need to rewind the show because I fucking fell asleep like a...
I agree. I'm usually watching with my daughter and my wife, so it's the same thing. We can't just start it. But by the end, I'm like, damn it, I don't feel like I actually experienced this movie. I did this a month ago, and we were going through Pirates of the Caribbean. Like the really goofy ones, I was in and out, and I'm like, well, shit, I don't even feel like I watch it. So I rewatched them both by myself. I essentially did like 8 hours of Pirates of the Caribbean on the bad films just to feel like I actually consumed them. But last thing here, and then we'll move into some Star Wars time. Finally got to Severance Season 2. We're about 3 or 4 episodes in. I will say it took way too long. I think 3 years, that's way too long. Way too long.
Yeah, that is a very long break.
Honestly, Nick, I had to almost do a study just to remember what the hell was going on and how season 1 ended. But, I'm learned now. It's definitely a show. I love it. Finished Silo season 2. I think that franchise is fucking amazing. And it sounds like they're taking it through 4 seasons. So we're actually going to get a payoff on a streaming series and letting it run its course. Apple seems to be good at that, even though they lose a ton of money because they don't promote their content, and it's some of the best content on streaming platforms.
Yeah. All right. We really liked Severance Season 1, and we know that Season 2 is out, but we just haven't even logged on to Apple TV Plus to watch it.
Because you guys aren't Apple users, so it's not like in your face. I mean, we have Apple. I have Apple TVs pretty much in every room, and every device is Apple. So we actually get the marketing for these things. All right. Well, I think that wraps up our pop culture stuff there. Brittany's coming in. The Barabel Jedi were cool. Who are they, Nick? I don't remember that shit. Divided Skywalker digging Severance. Do you know who the Barabel Jedi are? This sounds like a Legends thing for you.
I think it is Legends, but I truly can't remember at this point. Let's see. Species revered the Jedi Order, and it's kind of
it's fucking it's Saba Sabatine. It was one we were going to include on our list. They essentially look like Transdoshan.
Yeah. They're very similar, like lizard-like people, but I think they're a little bit like shorter and thicker than the the Trandoshans are.
Yeah, they don't look as beefy. There we go. I just threw it up on the stream for those interested. But we did consider Saba Sabatine for our coolest list, but decided to punt her ugly looking face for some other characters. All right, good stuff there. Let's get into some Star Wars time here. First and foremost, some of the low-hanging fruit, some newsy stuff you might not be aware of, or you need our commentary because we are the end-all, be-all when it comes to Star Wars thoughts. But Nick, this might be good news. Might. Mm-hmm. I mean, anything Lucasfilm, I don't care if it's Lucasfilm Games or Lucasfilm, I don't believe them anymore. And I have that right because they have made official proclamations that have fizzled out or just disappeared. But this one I think is legit because they are committing to a Star Wars Celebration panel on April 19th, young Nick. Lucasfilm Games, along with Bit Reactor and Respawn, are finally going to unveil their turn-based tactics Star Wars game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see what this is. This is obviously not a game type that Star Wars has dabbled in before, or if they did
in a long time.
Like,
would you consider Empire at War turn-based or no? Oh no, this would more be like XCOM, right?
Yeah, turn-based tactics is like XCOM. I mean, even you could kind of consider Marvel Midnight Suns turn-based tactics as well, even though like the turns are a little bit like
you are correct. It's not. I was thinking real-time strategy, but I am wrong.
RTS is like Empire at War, stuff like that. So I'm interested to see. I enjoy that style of game. And, you know, XCOM, I've played through, what was it? A couple of XCOM games, XCOM 1, and then XCOM, there was like a spin-off of 2 or something like that I played. I played Midnight Suns. I really enjoyed that. So I am interested to see what they can come up with here. And I mean, the good thing is that it's Respawn, because it seems like anything that's outside of Respawn really just doesn't catch. You know, like we've had.
Yeah, here's the weird thing, Nick, is Bit Reactor the actual development studio, and Respawn and Lucasfilm are publishing partners? That I don't know that. I just know that they're leading with this is a Bit Reactor game, but you see Respawn's on there and Lucasfilm. So
yeah, I mean, it's Bit Reactor is a development studio that basically spun off of Firaxis, and Firaxis made the XCOM games.
Well, that's what it is. And BMAD's asking any leaks on what this game's going to be. There you go. It's probably going to be...
It's going to be Star Wars XCOM.
Yeah, which honestly could be fucking awesome.
I mean, I think it could be really cool.
Because I really do appreciate that games. I don't think they'll do it in the vein of that Marvel game, whatever that was, Midnight Suns. That to me was like a whole new way of doing a game like that, because you essentially had a semi-open world map to fuck around and do exploring and you know, traditional type of open world game stuff, or semi-open. But any sort of gameplay outside of that exploration was a turn-based tactic, right? You'd enter essentially a battle arena, and you'd have a set amount of foes. You would have a set amount of heroes. You would take your turns. They would take your turns. You would take your turns. They would take their turns. So I don't see this game going that route, although I think you could do some really cool shit. But I do see Star Wars working very well in an XCOM presentation, where you kind of got that top-down look. You plan out your strategies. You move through a map, taking out targets, rinse and repeat. So, Now, not really. Well, yeah, sort of. Like Baldur's Gate's kind of turn-based tactic too, or no?
That's like turn-based RPG is more what I would call that, because the game system itself is an RPG. So like you're not going to have like turn-based tactics. You're not going to have like the deep level of like character customization or actions that a character can take, like in Baldur's Gate or in other, like even in like, you know, Final Fantasy and stuff like that. Like those are turn-based RPGs.
But I guess they're
way deeper.
Their main gameplay was turn-based though, where you would execute and then the PC executes.
Yeah. Turn-based is it's just like the mechanic by which the game functions. But like the tactics part of it is like you're gonna have a field of play where you can position and move, take cover. Have like environmental hazards likely that you can expose the enemy to, or that you can be exposed to. You have a very limited number of actions that you can take per unit and stuff like that. So it's definitely not going to be like Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, because even in Midnight Suns, Nick, outside of the main character, you didn't really. You could change their. No, you could kind of increase their
you could
stats,
do it
right?
For everybody. Yeah, for everybody. You could do that. You build their deck. I mean, like that one was like a card-based strategy game.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Like
it was the
cards.
Like
you could build. Yeah, like you build their deck and stuff like that. So you had a little bit more customization per unit than you would for like XCOM, which is basically like, okay, this guy's a rifleman. What can he do? He can throw a grenade and he can shoot his rifle.
All right.
So move him in a position to where he can hit him, or he can hit him with their grenade.
Yeah. So, I'm not gonna lie. This may be the thing I'm most interested to learn about from Star Wars Celebration Japan, because everything else I'm pretty sure we know about that we've seen from the panels. It's already been announced. Yes, I'll appreciate seeing some Mando and Grogu stuff or getting a behind the scenes, whatever. But in terms of just unannounced projects, this is one of the few that's going to be announced or finally revealed at Celebration. So, BMAT, I don't think it's going to be Halo Wars-ish with clones. I really think it is going to be more like an XCOM. But I would love another Star Wars RTS, because we have not had one since Empire at War. And even before that, you had was it Galactic Battlegrounds, just some of the best fucking RTS out there. I mean, Galactic Battlegrounds, Nick, I don't know if you played it, but it was essentially StarCraft 2 but Star Wars. So it was like, how can you beat that? I mean, it was so good. And Empire at War was even bigger. You had fleets, you had ground battles. I like all these games, and I think Star Wars will do well in the genre. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I think it could do well.
Well, in somber news in the Star Wars video game universe, and I don't even think it hasn't even been a year, but Star Wars Hunters is dead. They're shutting it down in October. It's going to be available from now until October, but October 1st, those servers are turning off. Apparently, they're going to extend Season 5 by a few weeks, and then you'll get one final content update on April 15th, and that's about it. So this is a game, Nick, remember, when it first released, I was knee-deep in it. I thought it was a great free-to-play game. It worked very well on Switch, on mobile. It was very fun, nice and fast. It felt balanced. Even as an older gamer, I felt competitive. I could usually finish up at the top, so naturally I enjoyed it. But it just, you remember, I mean, this game had years and years of development issues where they announced it and then it just disappeared, and they only did like the alphas and betas in random countries, never in the States or big gaming populations, and it was limited to Switch or mobile at launch, so it was kind of platform fucked, and it just never caught on past the initial month or two of release. And when that happens, you've got to shut a game down, and we'll pour one out here for Hunters.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is the least surprising news that I've heard. They didn't market the game; they put it on 2 platforms that people just like putting a game that is solely focused on multiplayer on Switch is just like you're asking to have people not play it. And then the mobile side of it, like obviously people like, this is a game that should have had a proper PC release and should have been developed solely for PC, like Marvel Rivals. Like this is essentially like, this is like a worse version of Marvel Rivals, but at least it's in the same vein and type in terms of game type.
That's what I think that's what helped kill it, was Rivals came out like a month after, and it's just like, see you later.
But like Rivals was in beta for a long time. I think they just had their official release like not that long ago. And the thing is like, if you're playing Hunters, you're like not playing Rivals more than likely, because Rivals is PC only. Rivals is very, very similar to like Overwatch.
I'm pretty sure you can get Rivals on at least PS5.
I think that they have a limited, I'm not sure what it's limited to for console release right now, but like the player base on that is like heavily PC skewed. And yeah, I don't know. It's just disappointing to me that they're like, Star Wars is a property that you can make very popular games off of if you actually just market them correctly and know what the fuck you're doing. Like, how do you make a Marvel Rivals game like become explosively successful when it's owned by the same company as Star Wars, but you can't do that with a Star Wars game? Like, I understand that Star Wars doesn't have the breadth of characters that Marvel does, but like, it doesn't feel difficult to me to make a hero shooter based off of Star Wars.
Well, apparently it is, my friend, because they've never figured it out, and they tried with this one and it failed. But they also didn't use named characters like Rivals is. There was no Luke Skywalkers in this or Obi-Wan Kenobis. It's like, Joe Schmo and Clickety Clank, stuff like that.
So it's like, put your fucking stars in the game, and you could literally, like, MOBAs are dying. You could make a Star Wars MOBA for sure that people would likely at least try, and if the game system is good, then people would play it. And a hero shooter like Marvel Rivals or Overwatch for Star Wars is like such an easy win that it's like confusing that it hasn't happened yet.
Must be the mob. You can't make a Star Wars game like that, according to the underboss. All right, well, there you go. We got some game news for you. Now it is time to figure out who are the 15 coolest looking Jedi of time. You gotta love our AI
coolest
here.
Looking Jedi
yeah,
of time,
I run with it. I don't care anymore. You know what? The world's on fire. Who gives a shit? I'm using AI left and right. I'm sorry, artists. I'm a basic fool. I can't use your tools. I have no artist skills. So if I need an image lickety split, I'm going to ask my AI. And I appreciate our AI, especially when it puts out a screen that says coolest looking Jedi of time, all time. And half of it's all blurry looking. You got this masked Yoda character with missing fingers. You've got like Star-Lord in here, Kyle Katarn. You got this masked character that looks like he's from a character like Garrus from Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Who cares? It looks interesting if you just look at it for a second. If you study it, you're like, okay, these guys use AI. But you know what? We don't give a shit. I definitely don't give a shit. Who cares, right? You get some funny stuff out of it. So we didn't use AI, or did we, to help us identify the 15 coolest Jedi of all time. And we have done something that we typically do not do. We included legends, even though Nick told me to eat shit. I was like, you know what, buddy? All those people on the internet, they love their legend stuff. They love their words and shit that never mattered, and George thought it was stupid. I don't necessarily buy into it, but you all do. So we cater to you, the fans, right? That's why everyone loves us here at the Star Wars Time Show. So you are going to get some Legends characters thrown at you, which is something we typically don't delve into. Yeah, I'd say the TIE fighters look pretty good though in that image, though. It's not too bad. Just don't look too closely. Yeah. Like I said, just don't look too closely.
Honestly, the best looking characters are the Stormtrooper and the Clone Trooper, because they don't have to worry about facial features.
Yeah, I kind of like this. There's like a Groot looking figure. Then there's a melting tar looking guy in the back. There's a radical trooper with Darth Maul spikes. So you never know what you're going to get, because when you do this type of stuff, to even get the AI to do it, you basically have to say, hey, make these characters, but not these characters because of copyright stuff. So I'm like, hey, make a poster of cool looking Jedi that aren't Jedi. And it's like, all right, here you go. You got like the main guy. If you're on the stream, he's literally holding the light part of a lightsaber. So his hands technically,
like he's holding the blade.
Yeah, his fingers and thumbs should technically be separated from his hand at this point in time, but who's keeping score? All right, so here it goes. We've got the 15 coolest looking Jedi of time, all time. Of time, all time. It's a new thing. It's a new way to say of all time. All right, so here we go. Of course, I'm going to need to refresh it because, well, why not? Why not? It's an internet page. It should just work, but it is a Star Wars Time show. So here we go. Up first, and there's no particular order here. Nick and I will do our top three at the end, but we've got the lovely Togruta, Ahsoka Tano. She's got her striking facial markings and montrals. She dual wields lightsabers using a reverse grip. Had some cool looking outfits here and there, but she just looks cool on her own. She looks like a badass when she stands there with her lightsabers behind her held backwards. So I do find Ahsoka to be one of the more, unique looking Force users. I know we can't technically call her a full-on Jedi, but she also earns a spot on this list, Nick, because of her many years and appearances that we actually got. I mean, we've seen Padawan Ahsoka all the way up to Ahsoka the White, which in my opinion may be her coolest look, period.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I like Ahsoka's color palette. Orange and blue are probably my two favorite colors. So right off the bat, like that is definitely, lending to my favoritism of Ahsoka for sure. But yeah, I mean, like I think the thing that like holds her back from being like maybe like probably the coolest looking is just like outfit wise, she's definitely been pretty thin, like not a lot of cool outfits. Like, yeah, you get the.
Do you remember her creeper one George first put her in when she was like a young teen? It was literally like
like the cut
it was like just covering her breasts in a skirt.
Yeah, like a halter top with a skirt. Very interesting choice of clothing from George there at first, but that's what we got. And yeah, I mean, I think she definitely looks cool. And for me, like I'm probably gonna like tend to lean towards the aliens here because human Jedi can look cool, but in general, like unless they have like really cool accessories, you're probably not gonna have like a super sick looking human Jedi. It's just not how they're
I can feel
built.
that.
So,
yeah, the human Jedi, if they made this list, and there are a few, don't worry. They made it because sometimes their coolness is subtle. You know what I mean? It's subtle coolness. They don't have to look so flashy, and that's why you're cool, because you're just wearing like maybe all one color, something like that. So, all right, before we move off of Ahsoka, do you have a favorite form? Did you like her animated young form, like the Siege of Mandalore blues? Or do you like the live action kind of gray blue or the white?
Yeah, I mean, I think that my favorite form of Ahsoka was the more mature look that you got in Rebels.
The brown look. Okay, yeah, I forgot that one.
Yeah, like the Fulcrum Ahsoka era. One. I thought that looked really cool.
Damn, that was a good pickup. I completely forgot that version of Ahsoka. That is up there.
Yeah, you don't see her that much, and I mean, like obviously she has her arcs in Rebels and stuff like that, but you don't see her as much as you do in like Clone Wars. Obviously, and
I think you're right, because you got to remember Rebels had its own animation style that none of the other shows have adopted yet. It was a little more chibi-ish, a little more ball. You mean look at the stormtroopers. I got one of the little figures there. I mean, see how their helmets didn't quite look normal, and they're actually releasing a line of 1/6 scale Rebels figures where you can really see the accented trooper helmets. Vader looked kind of accentuated, but so did Ahsoka, and I think you may be correct now that you jogged my memory. That may be the prime coolest looking version of Ahsoka Tano, Fulcrum.
Yeah.
All right.
My opinion.
Up next here. Who is the next coolest looking Jedi? Will they be an alien? Will they be a human? Will they be a dog? All right, what do we got here? Next. Oh, there he is. Everyone's favorite Keldor Jedi Master. He is easily recognizable thanks to his protective goggles and breathing mask that he has to use at all times when he is not in his own atmosphere. Nick, I also didn't notice, at least in this image, it looks like he wears some sort of finger cap, or their middle fingers they just weld them together. Fused. That's pretty fucking rad looking there. So
they're fused together.
I mean, this version of Plo, which we have on the live stream, if you want to join, don't forget Wednesdays 5:30 East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. He also has his Clone Wars gauntlet, which to me definitely ups his coolness.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you're showing a Clone Wars era Jedi in their clone armor, even if it's just pieces, that definitely adds to
someone
cool
just
factor.
came in from a distant planet. Okwa Tanzian 1, Kwanzaa, Lajiwan. Thank you, Tan. They'll know exactly what I'm saying. Sorry about that, Nick.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, Plo Koon is probably one of the coolest looking from the Clone Wars era, just because he looks so different than everybody else. Like, there are multiple Togruta Jedi. Like, obviously you have Aayla Secura, you have Shakti. I know that Ahsoka is not necessarily a Jedi, but those three kind of fall in the same category. And you don't see any other Keldor around. Like, there's no other Keldor Jedi. Remember, one popped
up in Acolyte, and they were like, "Oh, they broke King." It wasn't Plo, but he gets wasted by Khmer. So
yeah, so like, it's just one of the more rare species that you see out there. So Plo definitely ranks up there for me. I think he looks cool. A little bit of drab dress, but obviously, like you mentioned, the arm guards here from his clone armor definitely help to raise the cool factor a bit.
I know this might not sound cool, but when your face essentially looks like an upside down ball sack with like a predator mask on it, that's a pretty unique, some would say, cool look. So he definitely earns a spot on this list. He is one of the more unique aliens that Georgie Boy kind of cooked up. All right, who do we got on the list next? Are they cool? Are they a dude? Are they a woman? Are they an alien? Who knows? Let's see. Ho, hey now, it's Mr. Dreadlock himself. Got a little face paint. He picked himself up a side chick after the Clone Wars and Asajj Ventress. He is known for being rugged looking. He's got that dreadlock looking hair, tribal facial tattoos, and he also likes to do things unconventionally. We're talking about Quinlan Vos. Definitely one of the more unique looking humans, just based on the fact that he doesn't believe in sleeves. He don't believe in robes. He's got his face all tattooed up or painted, and that hair, you could spot him from 10 parsecs away.
Yeah, I really like Quinlan Vos because he feels like, in the description it mentions, like says tribal facial tattoos, but like overall, he almost looks like an ancient warrior. Like if you think about the depictions of like Aztec warriors.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like a Native American.
Yeah, like he looks super cool, and he leans into an aesthetic that really you don't see anywhere else in the galaxy, at least in terms of, like Jedi or Force users, how they dress, how they act, how they, hold themselves. So I think that Quinlan has a very unique style that's very hard to duplicate, especially among the Jedi Order.
Yeah, and he was kind of like Qui-Gon, but maybe even a bit more edgy, a bit more kind of anti-Jedi establishment too, right? I mean, he wasn't off the rails like Anakin going to the dark side, kind of loosey-goosey, but he definitely wasn't Obi-Wan Kenobi, straight and narrow. I want to be like Mace Windu and do everything perfectly.
Yeah, no, I mean, like he definitely had his own views of the living force and how to interact with it, which obviously
I'm going to hook up with bitches, which definitely didn't jive with the rest of the order. So
yeah, that it seems like that rule may have hurt a lot of different people in the Jedi Order.
You can't argue he at least waited until most of his brothers and sisters were genocided.
Were dead.
Yeah, he
like they were.
He
killed,
did respect the Order until they were mostly all dead. So there is that. But yeah, I mean, I like Quinlan. Like you said, he's kind of got that more early Native American type of look. I think you are right. More South America, Aztec, Mayan type of stuff. All right, who is next? How cool will they look? Or will Nick say I'm stupid? Oh, come on, people. Look at this guy. He's a Nautolan Jedi. He's always smiling. He's got tentacles for hair. He sometimes likes to take his clothes off just down to his skibbies and go swimming and fight underwater. Of course, we're talking about none other than Kit Fisto, Mr. Smiley Face. He was having a great time in that Geonosian arena battle. Remember, he's just sitting there like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm Kit Fisto. Yeah. So, I mean, look.
It always looks like he's having fun.
Yeah, he's always smiling. He's got those glassy black eyes, so you don't know if he's on drugs or if he's just in the zone. But come on, I mean, look at this guy. How can you not say Kit Fisto isn't cool looking? I don't care if you've never even seen Star Wars. When he's decked out, he's got his clone general gauntlets on. He's got that Death Stare, his lightsabers crossed. He's ready to throw down with some clankers. So I might not have the hot toy or want it, but Kit Fisto is undeniably cool looking for a Jedi.
Yeah, 100%. I love Kit Fisto and like Nautolan look. The black eyes definitely lends to more of a sinister look if he wasn't always smiling, like I mentioned. But I think that this image that you used of him is really indicative of like how cool a Nautolan Jedi can look with like the head tails and with the dark eyes and just like that intimidating kind of facial structure that he has. Yeah, Fisto for me is definitely one of my favorites, just in terms of his visual presentation, and then obviously the funny way he looked in the in the live action movies.
Yeah, he's a little goofy in the live action. He's one of those chumps that gets senated by Palpatine, right?
Yeah, like immediately, like, oh, we have entered this room. I'm gonna. It's
like five masters on one. I am the Senate. And he like twists over at him, just, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. Now I'll fight Mace Windu for a little bit, like we're doing a ballroom dance. Like, I love you, Ian. Don't take it personally. Okay, hold on. We got to catch up with the chat here. Debad Rivera, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Listen, we all love Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's definitely a cool Jedi. I don't think he's very cool looking. So, spoiler alert, no Obi-Wan Kenobi on this list.
Just a very basic looking Jedi. I mean, it's, like we're trying to find people that have like a visual flair to them, and Obi-Wan like kind of blended into the crowd.
He bought into the uniform scheme, bro. I mean, he's like, okay, I'll wear the brown, the whites. That's fine. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know me. I'm never going to do anything squirrely. I sort of liked the chick at one point in time, but I cut that out. Snuffed it out. Yeah, divided. Kit has 2 sabers. He did in this episode of Clone Wars, but typically he just rocked the green saber. So there you go. Be Mad loving Kit Fisto as a kid. And Cole Cowan, Fisto is ice skin cold, man. That's right. Fisto shines in Gennedy's Clone Wars as well as the regular Clone Wars. Like he gets his time in the sun under the water, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
What do we got next? We going back to humans. We got more aliens. Let's get a female on this list. What are we? A bunch of misogynistic pigs? Oops. It's another man. As Darth Vader's secret apprentice, Starkiller's dark attire and intense demeanor reflect his complex journey between the dark and light. We're not worried about Galen's dark side journey. We're talking about when he finally decided to cross over into light, become a Jedi, work with Princess Leia and the early founders of the Rebel Alliance, at least back in those days in Force Unleashed. So if you remember, Nick, he kind of still kept some of the Starkiller garb underneath, but he threw that kind of like the white, roby, tunicky, hoodie thing on, and definitely created a cool look for, what is that, the final mission, right, is when he donned this outfit?
Yeah. So if you like Galen Merrick's look, you just like the way that Sam Witwer looks, because he was directly modeled after the person who does the voice, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, I think that his outfit is pretty cool. Obviously, he's a dual wielder as well, which you don't see a ton of dual wielders in Star Wars in general, unless it's like a custom character that you're making, or you catch the off dual wielder in like a side shot or something like that. So that makes him cool just by itself, that he wields 2 lightsabers all the time. But yeah, I mean, I thought that he had a pretty decent look in the games. I think that the outfit, like the wrap kind of, like up his arms, and then the wrap.
I mean, before he dons this, we could argue he looks cooler, but he was still kind of dark side at that point. So maybe next week when we do Sith, tease, spoiler, Sith are coming next week, you might as well. I mean, you think about the one outfit where he's got that helmet and like Edward Scissorhand claws. I mean, this dude definitely looks cool. And I also think Sam Witwer looks cool. So it's a double win. All right. There we go. There's our boy Galen Merrick, a.k.a. Starkiller, a.k.a. a Legends character for life, unless you consider Swago to be canon. Then he's canon. Okay, next we have, here we go. Finally, getting some females up in this.
Oh, God, this picture of her.
Yeah, well, you can blame AI for this. As you notice, the X-Wing in the back has 3 wings, so I didn't ask for that. And her pilot chest piece looks a little melty. But I'll tell you what, I think ChatGPT did a pretty damn good job at creating an image of a character that looks like Jaina Solo. And here she is. And Nick's not kidding. Like, if you're a male and you can kind of look at cartoonish, comic booky type of cover looking art of a female and go, wow, that's pretty, you're probably saying that to yourself right now. because we got Jaina in her pilot outfit with her purple lightsaber out, looking at us directly on, essentially saying, "Hey boys, I'm gonna fuck you up." All right. So
yeah, I mean, my whole issue with Legends characters in this is that a lot of times there's not actual physical portrayals of them. There is one of Jaina, and it was from a book cover, and I have that book, but it's not out in a way that I can reach it. This is definitely a very Barbie doll look here.
Well, hey, look, I pulled it up on screen. If you look up the Jaina Solo Black Series figure, I mean, it's pretty much what the AI did. She's in her black suit with her pilot gear on, and she's ready to rock. So here we go.
Yeah. I mean, she looks fine. I guess, I mean, like, she looks like a mix between Luke and Mara Jade. She has like that, like the hair color on the figure itself is not as red as it should be. Her hair is typically, like, it has a little bit of that red from Mara Jade in it, so it's more of like an auburn brown color. But she looks cool. She looks cool. She's got a pink lightsaber, which is always nice. One of the colors that you rarely see. I think she was one of the only Jedi to whip a pink lightsaber like that. So yeah, overall not bad.
All right. Yeah, I mean, listen, just based on the action figure, which I did have pulled up, I think she looks cool. I agree. The AI went a little into the cartoony territories, but for the one canon thing we have of Jaina, which is the Black Series, I think it's pretty spot on. And you gotta like a female Jedi in black pilot gear with a purple saber. So yeah, I think Jaina is very cool. Maybe a little over sexualized by ChatGPT.
That's Jaina Solo.
All right, hold on. Let me see.
It's so hard because my camera keeps buzzing it out. But
okay, that looks like that looks like her aunt. But all right, we'll take it. Okay. So there's Jaina for us, and guess what? I think we're going to have another one to talk about. Oh, even better. Kyle Katarn using his recanonized image from Swago. I didn't have to put a name up there, Nick. I'm just using his Swago game card. And, you know, Kyle, he's different. He's kind of that swashbuckling, scoundrelly looking type of Jedi. He's got that turtle shell shoulder pad. He's got leather gauntlets, you know. He's got almost like a medieval type of shirt that needs tied up at the top. So, you know, for a human Jedi, his attire definitely was not the tried and true robe type of thing. It kind of followed Boken Jedi, I guess, if you will, what they went with, which was less robes, more practical clothing.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely has a unique look that like really feels like how they modeled. It feels like they modeled Ezra off of Kyle Katarn in a way, because obviously they were kind of brought up in a very similar fashion, like you mentioned, Boken Jedi upbringing and everything like that. So that's definitely unique, especially for the time that he was introduced. So yeah, I think he's a cool looking guy. Got some good scruff going on. He would blend in very well in a crowd of normal people. Like there's nothing that you would look at him and think like, oh, there's a Jedi in our midst. But yeah, I mean, overall maintains his standard rugged look and just has his Jedi accessories along with him on his utility
now belt. Nick, so, was he dabbling in Force stuff before he linked up with Skywalker in those Legends tales or in Jedi Outcast the games? Was he aware of his potential, or was Luke the one that kind of pulled it out of him?
To be completely honest, I don't remember Kyle Katarn.
Because he's essentially books, from games, right? I mean, wasn't Dark Forces or whatever, or like way back when?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I believe his introduction was in Jedi Outcast,
right. And he's already Jedi there because I'm just replayed that like a month or two ago. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that was his introduction.
Now, he might be in Dark Empire. I don't know. I know he's in like one of the shooter games first, because I believe he was almost like a scoundrelly type before he figured out that he could use lightsabers and stuff. This is where I need you words and shit people, because I drawing a blank outside of his attack set in Swago. I'm really not sure about his past. But he looks cool. He looks different. He's not just wearing poopy looking robes, so he earns his spot on this list. All right, well, there we go. There's Mara Jade. I think a little bit closer to what you might see in books. Definitely, again,
that's Mara
Jade. Little saucier than you might see in the books. But, she started out as the Emperor's Hand. She's gone through multiple evolutions. After that, she kind of became a smuggler. Still wanted to go after Luke, but, after something, I think at Jabba's palace, they kind of realized that, hey, you know what? We might work well together, and then the rest is history. But, she always kind of wore almost like a Black Widow, black jumpsuit type of thing. Had her striking red hair and, of course, the purple lightsaber. So while not an alien and doesn't really have any facial markings or crazy stuff attached to her suit, I think just the sleekness of it is what makes her look cool.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely had a very cool aesthetic. She kind of mixed that dark side with the light side, since she did come from, the Emperor's Hand. She was the Emperor's Hand first. I mean, overall, again, like the red hair stands out, which is a very unique part of just Star Wars in general. You don't see a lot of redheads. I mean, now you got what's his name, Cal Kestis, in there as well. But yeah, I mean, overall, Mara Jade was a very cool looking character.
All right, we got B-Matt on the stream asking, was Kanan Jarrus inspired by Kyle Katarn? I do not believe so, because Kanan, as we know, was Caleb Doom. He was a Jedi from the get-go. I think Kyle was one of these traditional, or what we now know as Boken Jedi, where he didn't really even stumble upon or get trained in it until he was well into his adulthood. Yeah,
right. He definitely wasn't.
So, if you're new here, you just tuned in, we're going through the 15 coolest looking Jedi of all time. I think we've gone through 8 at this point in time, but I struggle to count. Sometimes I skip over them and forget. We'll get through it. We're moving on to the next one. Who could it be? All right, this one, I think for a human, might take the cake. Cade freaking Skywalker. All right, this guy is, I think he's born something like 137 years after Prime Skywalker, so Luke and his father, Anakin. But if you look at this guy, man, I mean, he's rolling around with a pistol grip, double barrel shotgun laser. He's got Mandalorian chest plating on. He's wearing like a pirate sash. He's got a duster and a lightsaber. I mean, and he kind of looks angry, and he's wearing earrings. I mean, let's go, dude. I mean, he is the epitome of a like a punk inspired Jedi.
Yeah, he honestly, he just looks like a 80s movie.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's like Arnold or Mel, who don't like to speak his name. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 80s movie villain for sure. To be completely honest with you, I don't even know who this dude is. He's got to be a comic book character, given that this is a comic book frame. I mean, he looks ridiculous for a guy. Like, if you showed somebody a picture of this, and you asked them, like, who do you think he's affiliated with in Star Wars? I think that Skywalker would probably be the last.
You don't see any Luke in there, man. Look at that. I see Luke's face in there. Come on. I know it's 130. It's many generations beyond Luke, but come on.
I see a little bit in the lightsaber hilt for sure. But I mean, he definitely looks cool. Like I said, he could be in Commando. He could be in Predator. Yeah, he looks like he fits right in with that like jacked up 80s movie action hero.
Wouldn't you? I mean, in all seriousness, wouldn't you like to see a Jedi character like this though? I mean, it would just be so different, because you're not going to get this outside of a far into the future comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I would be interested in seeing it just to see how they played it, like to see how they
basically
justify
Han Solo Jedi.
Kind of, but he's a jacked Han Solo.
Yeah,
like Han Solo,
he worked out.
He's super jacked. Because that was one thing they didn't really focus on a lot in Jedi school training.
You didn't need it.
Is the physical.
That's a good point. There weren't many buff Jedi, That's why Arnold Schwarzenegger probably didn't get cast in the prequels, because it would look weird. Most Jedi, Nick makes a fantastic point. they didn't need physical muscle to overpower their foes. They just used the Force. Yeah. So
exactly.
Cade's like, fuck it. I'm old school. I'm gonna
I will say
work
that, like,
out and use the Force.
If you go back and like maybe some of the people in here who've read the Bane books
he was stacked, right?
This, but Bane was huge, because Bane was a miner before that. Like this dude worked in the mines of Kessel.
Even Scion looked like he worked out a little bit.
Scion was pretty jacked too. And in the Bane books, there was a Jedi who was a Jedi sword master who literally could not touch the Force. Like he was not able to channel the Force. But he was such a good sword fighter, such a good lightsaber combatant that they were like, "You're in, bro. You're in. You're in the Jedi Order because you're that fucking good." And this dude was he was jacked. He was physically very large.
You keep looking at this picture and there's so many things. You're just like, holy shit. I mean, just imagine a Jedi coming at you in full Mandalorian chest plate armor with a double barrel shotgun and a lightsaber raised up. And he's got earrings in and almost looks like he's either in a biker gang or a space pirate.
I know, dude. It's like you roll up to me and you tell me that guy's a Jedi. I'm calling you out as a liar.
Like, whoa, the Jedi Order has really lost their way. They definitely do not. They're not dogmatic anymore. That's for sure. So Cade I dig him. Divided. You have to look it up. Cade is. His mom, I believe, is a Skywalker, but like I said, he's at least 3 or 4 generations removed from Luke.
I think it's his parents are Cole Skywalker, which is
okay. So the dad was a Skywalker.
I guess dad was a Skywalker, and then the mom was called Morrigan Cord. Morrigan Cord.
And listen, Cade, kind of like some of his relatives, he's a little squirrely. Like he's not like the sire Luke or. Kind of just always stayed on the light side. I believe Cade also, kind of like some of his solo distant relatives, dabbled in the dark here or there. He might have even had a Darth name at some point in time. But for this list, he's a Jedi and he looks like a badass. All right, that was a fun one. Who do we got next on our 15 coolest looking Jedi countdown? Here he is, Mr. Cranium himself. Some may call him PP Head. We're talking about Ki-Adi-Mundi, one of the few Jedi Masters that had permission to procreate because his species, probably because their heads look so silly, weren't very good at making babies.
So he got the free pass.
So I mean, listen, he's got the beard, the long eyebrows. You get that essentially cone head that had braids going down. I mean, he's very striking looking. If anything, you're like, whoa, look at that thing.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely. If you've ever seen the movie Coneheads, he can definitely fit in with that family, I would say. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's one of the more human-like alien Jedi that we see, as in like the most of the presentation outside of his head is generally human. And then you look at his head and face and you're like, oh, wow, that's very different than human. But yeah, I mean, I think that like he definitely has a very unique look. I would be really interested to like see him in different eras and see what his garb looked like. Obviously, that changes over time. We never really got a good look at him in anything other than his Jedi browns. But I think that he does have like a very unique cranial structure, which gives him like a very he will stand out.
Yeah, check this out. I just looked up the Syrians like head and what that means. They have binary brains plus an extra heart in their heads. Interesting.
So if he gets hit in the head by anything, he's
bad news.
Like hardcore.
Yeah, that's bad news. That's bad news. That would definitely break Ki-Adi-Mundi canon more than the Acolyte supposedly did. So there he is. It's a very, I remember the first time I saw him in The Phantom Menace, I was like, holy hell, that good, way to go, team. That's something. That is definitely a character design if I've ever seen one. But yeah, lots of good stuff packed into that noggin. I'm surprised they don't wear, almost like Predator helmets at all times.
I know, right? Like I would imagine that there would be much more head protection if I was a Saurian than what they have on now. Like that's the one. I have 2 brains in there and an extra heart. I definitely want to keep that protected.
And no wonder it took his clones so many shots to take him out. They should have just aimed for the point on his head, and it would have been, one shot and you're done. If you remember, he and Isla, they get murdered pretty hard during the Order 66 montage. It's like he's charged. It's like, come on. He turns around. He's like, what's up, guys? They just line up. Bah, 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 bah. See you later, Conehead. All right. Well, we speak your name, Ki-Adi-Mundi. Rest in power, as they say. All right. Who's next on this list, Nick? Let me see. Clicky Wiki.
Probably.
Hey, I just talked about her. Isla Secura. Yeah. I mean, how can you not say that this female Jedi isn't cool looking? I mean, as always, if George had a female in Star Wars, he was going to put her in the least amount of clothing as possible, as was evident by Isla's debut I think she showed up in the arena in Attack of the Clones, but you get a good shot of her on Felucia in Rots when she gets murdered. So yes, we all know, or if you've been around here, I have a thing for Twi'leks, Togrutas. I like women with things coming out of their head. Don't ask me why. I like women that are strikingly different in color, be it greens, blues, oranges. So yeah, I mean, I outside of looking like a badass, she's enticing to the male mind. But for a Jedi, she just looks cool. She doesn't look like a Jedi. She doesn't look like Yoda would even let her in the fucking temple, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely not adhering to Jedi dress code, for sure. But here's a little fun fact for me. When the original Battlefront 2 came out on PlayStation 2, and there was the heroes versus villains mode, I would play that a lot, and I would always play as her on the hero side because she had the double lightsaber. She had an awesome dash attack. So I was a big fan of Isla Secura in Battlefront 2, Heroes versus Villains. But yeah, I mean, she is very unique in terms of Togrutas.
Well, she's a Twi'lek.
Oh yeah, good call. Like even for like Twi'leks, like. That skin color we don't see a ton of. Like we've seen green Twi'leks before, but like this teal blue is a color that I think has only been on her. And she's like, I also think that like, oh well, no, that's also a Togruta thing, is like the multicolor on like the face and the head tails.
Yeah, the only thing I like, if you look at this image, Nick, are those nubs on her leather helmet thing?
Yeah, it almost looks like those are like protrusions from her head, and I think that's what it is. So it's like it almost looks like her ears, or like something maybe covering. Yeah,
because
sure.
I mean, Hera doesn't look like that. So Bib didn't have those. So yeah, but I mean that just adds to her coolness rating. Yeah. All right, people.
Yeah, Hera doesn't have those ear things for sure. I mean, not on the.
But she gets lit up. I mean, she literally they do her dirty. She didn't even get a chance to turn around. She just walks forward and Bly and his whole squad just. She gets it the worst. Let's be real. I mean, it's not even close. I don't know if George hated the actress in real life or he hates himself for being in love with his alien creatures, but he made a point that when it was her turn during Order 66, she was going to get murdered, like hard murder.
Yeah, like they just continue, like she's down and dead, and then they just walk up and shoot her in the back.
Like affiliate. Like if it was rated R, there would be nothing left of her. She would be nothing but burning holes of ash.
Yeah, it's pretty.
What do you think that was? I mean, honestly, was that like a purposeful thing on George's part? Like, why was he like, no, this one in particular, let's really hammer home that they really wanted to kill her bad.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe she wasn't the best Jedi general. Like maybe she wasn't as nice to the clones as some of the other ones were. So when the order came down, they were like, fucking finally,
let's take this bitch out.
like we get to take out our rage and stuff like that. But man, it's
like it almost got sadistic where they're just like more.
Yeah. They pulled the Kylo Ren on her. It's crazy.
Again, she looked great. She's got some crazy stuff on her face. Definitely a cooler looking Jedi, therefore. Isla Secura, you have earned your spot on this list. All right, we're counting them down. We got a few to go here, and then we'll get to Nick and I's personal top 3. All right. Those of you that listen to this show, if you're on the stream and you're seeing this man's image, you're like, wow, Matt has really grown. But I'll be honest. I mean, Mace Windu, Sam Jackson, he just looks cool. That bald-ass head, that Jules almost like look at times he would give to Mace, his authoritative demeanor. He just looked like someone you didn't want to fuck with. You know what I mean? Like he just had a look of like, this is one bad motherfucker.
Yeah, I kind of wish that he would have whipped the Jules wig.
Oh my God, that would have been
Mace. Oh God, it would have been so good. But I understand you can't have that much ridiculousness in Star Wars, right? Right. But
the Jerry curl, off, dude, that would have been great,
dude. It would have been fucking fantastic. I would have loved it. But only black Jedi in the galaxy that we know of.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of black people in the Star Wars galaxy.
Like just not they. Yeah, I don't know what happened or like what that galaxy. Maybe there's just not a lot of sun on planets. I don't know how that development happened, but only black Jedi I've ever seen puts him up there. He obviously has or had the only purple lightsaber that we've ever seen up to that point, which gives him extra points because, hey, you know, you see, everybody's got green or blue.
Darker tunic than everybody, Nick. He even had to stand out there. His inner tunic was darker than everyone else.
Yeah. And then I think, like you said, too, it's more of his demeanor that lends to his coolness, right? Like, even when he's like sitting in his Jedi Council
seat, he's kind of like leaned back. He's a pimp.
And he's like, we're not going to let you on. You have not received the rank of master. Please move
Bitch.
on. Like, there's just an undeniable coolness about how he carries himself. Not necessarily the garb, but just the air of coolness surrounds him.
Yeah, and like I said, Mace Windu is not one of my favorite characters. Love Sam Jackson. Mace Windu, I think he's a dickhead. He's at least the way the movies play out, the prequels, he's the reason Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader. That's it. Like he's just such an asshole to him on purpose.
It definitely. I mean, if it was, I think one of the questions we got asked a couple of weeks ago was like, if it was Obi-Wan there instead of Mace, does Anakin turn? And I'm like, it's arguable that he would. I think that Obi could have talked him off the ledge, whereas Mace is just sitting there like, shut the fuck up. I know what I'm doing. I don't even want you here.
Like, hey, just
I told you to stay back in the fucking temple.
It's like, Skywalker, we keep telling you to do everything by the book, but now I'm Mace Windu. I'm going to fucking kill the guy, even though that ain't by the book. So, I mean, he's one of those types of people. Cole Cowan making a good point. The Gennady Mace Windu was peak Mace Windu. Like, come on. Like,
the Gennady
He
Mace
took
Windu
on an entire battle droid, like this big dome tank thing by himself.
Badass,
pretty sweet.
Every day I am hoping that they just fucking greenlit the Mace Windu Lives series. Just because if you want people to come back and watch Star Wars, if they're really worried about their numbers, that show will do Mandalorian season 1 numbers. Guaranteed.
Yeah, he's all like, I've seen some fan art because like they've got like his face is kind of disfigured from the lighting. One of his eyes is blinded and blown out. Obviously he would have a backup arm. So yeah, why not? Like you said, I mean, no one ever really dies. Canon ain't canon. Who gives a shit? We're loosey-goosey here. Let's go. Bring back the Windu to hang out with the Bendu.
Do it, man. That would be awesome.
You got to do it before Sammy gets too old. All right.
That's true.
Okay, who we got next on this list? Everyone wants to know. Oh, look at this guy. I mean, you just look at this image. Let me build this up a little bit for those that listen on podcasts. and you just see a badass, and you don't even see their face. You're just like, this is one badass, cool looking dude. He's got this, it's almost like a regalness to him. Coolness exudes from this character. Naturally, I'm talking about light side Revan. So he's in his full whites. He still has his Mando mask. He's got like his leather chest plates and gauntlets. It's just such a clean look. But then you incorporate the aesthetic of a Mando mask, and it goes from clean to cooler than a polar bear's toenails.
Oh yeah. I mean, Revan is definitely up there for me. I think it's like you said, it really comes down to the garb, the accessories, the mask for sure. Like the first time you see that mask, you're like, what the fuck?
Coolest.
Like this Jedi, it's just one of the coolest looking Jedi that you can imagine. And having both the dark side and the light side versions, obviously we're talking about the light side version now, but like having that juxtaposition with the whites and the browns versus the blacks and the reds, like just such an awesome look. And it's an era defining look. If you really think about it, like you have Revan here, and then like you have him as like the spotlight for the entire Old Republic era. And it really does elevate how the rest of the characters in that era look. I mean, if you just go and look at character design in Star Wars games that are set there, like Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO, or like KOTOR 2 and stuff like that, like they have a design that is kind of inspired in part by Revan's look, because it was such an iconic look.
Hey Nick, did he?
So I really
did he get
that.
the whites solely from Galaxy of Heroes? Like, can we say that?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because there was no physical depiction of him in any of those other games with the whites. So I think the whites came from Swago, and most of like when you see him in the other games, like he's always he's in his dark side.
Hey, there's a chance this dude maybe,
or you're playing him.
He may be showing up on next week's list too. He'll just have different color outfit. You never know. We get all our directives now from our AI overlord. We have chosen to stop using our brains when it comes to Star Wars. So it takes a lot of effort, my friends, when you try to do a weekly show, and Star Wars essentially is dry. So
yeah, Phil
every once in a while I got to use AI as a thought partner, and as should it's a tool. Leverage it. So yeah, Revan's awesome. Lightside Revan, hands down, probably the coolest looking Jedi if we're going to be for real. And I hope one day Hot Toys makes a version of this, because the dark side Revan Hot Toys that I have, one of my top 5, I would say. Just he's such a cool character, and always looks extremely radical. All right. Well, look at this. Nick has been talking about her race since we talked about Ahsoka. She definitely has different markings. Do we know, Nick, the Togrutas get their white? Is it kind of like birthmarks for us, or because it's not face paint? Like, but you see, I'm talking about Shakti, obviously. Yeah. But her montrails, her face looks fundamentally different from Ahsoka's tattoos, face markings. I can't remember if when she was a baby if she had them. I'm gonna look that up real quick while you riff on how cool Shakti looks.
Yeah, I mean, Shakti is one of my like top ones as well. I really enjoy her look, not only because of the coloration, like the red, white, blue coloration, I think works really well in the way that they've like designed it. But I also love the accentuation of the gold head jewelry around her, like Leku or head tails, and then like going down her face. I think that, and then also if you just look at the way that she dresses, like she does not dress like Ayla, she does not dress like Ahsoka. She does have very elegant garb, almost befitting more of the High Republic era than the Grand Republic era in a lot of ways. And I do think that they that Shakti is I think Shakti personally looks cooler than Ahsoka, even though Ahsoka whips my favorite colors, orange and blue. I just think that Shakti's design is really,
she's pretty orange and blue too, bro.
out.
And I've seen some, I don't know if they're fan prints or from comics where she is not in her Jedi robes, and it's like, wowie, maui, dude. It's like, holy hell. Yeah. So I just looked it up. Apparently their face markings are kind of like fingerprints. Doesn't make sense to me, because if you look at Ahsoka as a baby, her face markings aren't even close to what they are when she's a teen and an adult. So I guess they evolve as the Togrutas grow. So there you go. Yeah. For those that were seeking out that question. Why are we looking at that? Oh, sorry. I flipped us over back to Jaina for some reason.
The Jaina.
Yeah,
the Jaina
yeah, man. I think in the temple, she's, very low key, kind of Jedi-y, but she's very lengthy, kind of long, almost waifish looking. You know what I mean? And you got to dig her headdress. She looks like she wears some jewels there. She's got those great eyes. And she's a character that honestly kind of was underused and developed, because she's supposed to be a badass, but they cut her scenes from Rots. I mean, there is some stuff in Gennadi's, I believe, but she never really quite got her due, I think, like George initially planned.
Yeah. I wish that she would have been used better, for sure. Like you said, she gets like a couple of arcs here and there in Clone Wars, but nothing that's like substantial. But I do think that like the design of her character, like you don't put that much work into a character design to not use them. Like they clearly had plans to use this character, given how much they put in, like work they put into the costuming and the design of the character. But yeah, I guess it didn't line up in the films.
Yeah. Something happened, because they literally film her death scene. Like Grievous, I think, does it right in front of Anakin or something.
Yeah, it's in the cut scenes. It's one of the cut scenes on the DVD release, Blu-ray release, stuff like that.
But there's also, I believe, you can look this up, and we're not going to waste any more time on it. I believe there's also canon where Anakin's the one that kills her.
Interesting. So. Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, what do they list her death as on Wikipedia?
I don't know. Check that out while I tee up the next character. Yeah. All right, we're moving right along here.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think we're moving on to our toppies.
I think this might be the last of the list, and then we'll get into our top picks.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes.
And quite frankly, my friends, he's one of the first Jedi we were introduced to if you grew up in the original trilogy era. It took him a while to get there. He learned from an old crazy hermit that for some reason aged 50 years and 10. But once he did channel the Force and he embraced his family's legacy, he chose to dress himself in a way that was kind of giving an homage to possibly his father, a little bit to the Order. Of course, we're talking about young Luke. And listen, it's Luke Skywalker. He's as cool as it gets, but I do think he looks cool via his simplicity, especially in Return of the Jedi, and that all black with the belt buckle, the little flap coming open to reaffirm to himself and the audience that he has chosen the light side. But really, probably his peak look as a Jedi master, not old man Luke in his goofy whites, but how he showed up in Mandalorian Grogu. He had more of a black cloak than it was when he visited Jabba. It was more of a tunic instead of just kind of a shirt and pants. Like he actually has a black tunic going over his shirt into his pants. And he just looks very refined, but he also looks like someone you don't want to fuck with. So listen, it's Luke. He's cool. He's not only cool, but he's also cool looking, especially when he becomes a Jedi Knight, just like his father before him.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the ROTJ look is definitely his best one. I agree with you that the black tunic and the full, like the black outfit definitely suits him better than the farm boy whites or his training attire that we saw in ESB. So yeah, the full black paying homage to his father with the green lightsaber definitely looks cool. He's always got the gloved hand.
There you go. You got that cool. Too, right? Sometimes he'll even take it off and let us see that it's all decayed from getting shot by a scrub on Jabba's sail barge. So hey, it's Luke. There you go. The 15 coolest looking Jedi. We just gave them to you, and now because we know you need to know what we think personally, here comes our top 3, starting with Young Nick. All right, so Young Nick coming in at 3. He's got Kit Fisto.
Yeah, like I said, I really just like the Nautolan aesthetic overall. I like the amphibious look of it. I love the all black eyes, and that's kind of mirrored in Shakti too. And then just this image is what I would prefer to remember Kit Fisto as.
Not the one where he's waving at people like
the laughing guy who's like not that one. This one here. This is my preferred Kit Fisto.
Excellent.
So, number 3.
All right. Moving on to Nick's number 2. We've got, there she is, Shakti.
Yeah. Shakti. I think that Shakti is one of the best designed Jedi that we've seen in live action. Looking. Graceful, elegant. I love the gold jewelry as the accents on her facial features. I love the way that they designed the facial markings and the markings on her Leku. Is just really, really elegant looking Jedi in an age where Jedi typically looked more drab. Yeah. That's just the way that they moved, but she was kind of
standout. Her montrails or whatever, they go really high, right? I mean, she almost has horns coming out. Yeah,
hers go way up. Like even if you look at Rebels era Ahsoka, they go higher than that.
Way higher.
Much higher.
All right, and then Nick's number 1 is Lightside Revan.
Lightside Revan is just one of those characters that you see and you're like, this is probably the coolest looking Jedi I've ever seen, and it just holds true. It's such a unique look for a human Jedi, especially human Jedi, unless by necessity, typically don't wear masks. Jedi in general don't wear masks. The only one that you really
intimidating
see that
looking.
does.
You don't want to approach people as a peacekeeper, scaring the shit out of them.
Yeah, he demands a level of authority just right up front from the way he looks, unlike any other Jedi does. So, he is awesome. I mean, I love Revan.
Lightside Revan is the man. Revan in general is the dude. All right, so that means it's old guy screaming, or old Gioi screaming at clouds. Here comes my top 3. At number 3, Jaina Solo, mostly because I am a creepy old man. All right, I'll admit it. Sorry. Number 2, Cade motherfucking Skywalker. I just, how can you not think this guy isn't cool looking? I mean, he looks like a Jedi joined the Hell's Angels. So I'm all about it. I mean, he also looks like he could be a WWE character. So
he 100%.
I am down for that. My goodness, dude, WWE is in Europe. European crowds are amazing. Amazing. You know how they are at football matches and stuff. They bring that right into a little arena. Holy shit, man. I would say that there were some of the bigger stars cutting promos on Monday, and it went for maybe 3 to 5 minutes of the stadium just doing everyone's songs or whatnot. It's good for Europeans for not being so uptight and angry all the time. All right, sidebar. Cade Skywalker, my number 2. My number 1. We're keeping it in the family. Tried and true, takes me back to my youth. Nick is right. I was wrong to say Mando Luke's better. Jedi Luke is the best. He's in that nice black form-fitting suit. Mark looked great in it. The little flip at the end with the bib sells it. Luke, my number 1. All right, hopefully everyone enjoyed that. Next week, if you were a betting person, you should throw money on us doing the 15 coolest looking Sith of all time, because we're going to spin our wheels till we get to Andor Season 2. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up this episode of the SWTS. It is E348 with the fan segment. Woo! We do it every week. The best way to get involved is following us on our socials. So IG, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Discord, all the links are in this video's description. Hit that shit up. But we always ask a question of the week, and we'll feature fan responses. And we also, or by we, I mean Nick and the mouse in his pocket, they honor the top 5 Star Wars artists of the week. So let's start with the question of the week, my friend. As always, we try to theme it around what we are talking about. So we asked the fans, who do they think is a cool-looking Jedi?
All right. So first up, we have Star Wars Rick, and he's going with Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn, huh? It's a pretty standard looking Jedi,
does have,
in my opinion. But hey,
he does have some cool looking hair.
Goatee.
You know, he's got that goatee.
Yeah,
he's kind of got the long hair with a little strip pulled back.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Not bad. Not bad.
It's an opinion here. We'll allow you to have him for a little bit.
You're allowed to like Qui-Gon, Star Wars Rick. Thank you very much. Next up, League of Extraordinary Sixers. She says,
look at that. You guys are lined up.
Another Shakti.
Oh, by the way, happy birthday to League. I know she's not here tonight, but she checked in our Discord to let us know it is her name day. So we speak her name because that's what we do with our channel members. League is our top tier channel member. She has special access to my ear. So if that's something you want to consider, make sure to look down at our membership options at the bottom of this video.
Awesome. So happy birthday, League. Next up, we have 2797 Studios. Mr. Bat says, Plo has got to take the coolest looking Jedi. Humans are so boring. I mean, Plo, yeah, I really like Plo.
Nick is in line with you there, 2797 Bat Buddy.
All right. Mando Mugshot says, so many cool looking alien Jedi.
I'm not the only creepy person out there, Nick.
Tired. Won't ever get tired at looking at Isla Secura. There you go.
See, it's okay, people. It's okay to be infatuated with alien women. It doesn't make you that strange. Just be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, just be okay with it. My SW guys says,
all right, that's a good pull. That's a good pull.
Yeah, he's the
he's kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know he's Force Unleashed to start out, but he kind of looks like a samurai out of his armor, right?
Yeah, a bit for sure.
At least the hair.
Yeah,
doesn't he have like a little bun or something like that?
He's got the pulled back hair. He's got the blindfold and everything. Yeah, very cool looking Jedi Rom Coda. Good call by my Star Wars guys. Mando Pirate says Kit Fisto, and
Team
I
Nick.
agree.
Team Nick.
Lord Dredd says General
that's a
Skywalker.
Good pull. That's a good, because General in his maroons with the battle armor and the blues, that is a good look for Anakin.
I think that any human Jedi general that's whipping their Clone Wars armor definitely has it brings them up from their standard
even
Jedi,
Kenobi,
sure.
like, because Kenobi, dude, we missed it. Kenobi with the Phase 1 helmet. That guy could have made this list, but he didn't. So eat shit, Kenobi. All right, what we got next?
Good stuff. So next up is Divided Skywalker, Abigail Sky. She says, I guess I'd have to go with Yoda, small but mighty. I mean, honestly, like Yoda is just very unique, and only 3 of his race that we know of. I mean, unique.
He's definitely unique looking. I mean, he looks like he's something you could pick up and play a game of kickball with. So, I mean, there's that as well. He's got that. He's kind of a bald guy that won't let go, and anyone that talks backwards. You got to give him some cool factor there.
That's true. That's true.
We got a couple more here.
Yeah. Few more. Baron's Black Series. Spencer says, Kit Fisto, he looked amazing both before and after he took Spice. Okay. Good stuff there from Baron's Black Series. And then Mac122198. So that is Michael Kramer, I believe. He says, Plo Koon, in my opinion, it's the breathing mask. So he's a big fan of the breathing apparatus on Plo Koon.
There's kind of a trend here, people. If a character has a mask, they're probably going to look cool. You know what I mean?
They look cool. Everybody looks cool.
That's even beyond Star Wars. I mean, think about Predators. Yeah. I mean, they look like shit without their mask. With their masks on, they're some of the coolest looking things ever.
You rarely get, you don't see much of Darth Malgus without a mask because he gets it pretty early on, and the only time that you see him without a mask is in one of the pre-game cinematics, but he looks infinitely cool.
Oh, yeah. I have a feeling a few of the Darth M's are going to be making next week's list. I can think of 2 right now, and they're sitting right next to me.
Yeah, they're probably going to
guess what?
Filter
Kamir counts as a Sith for this experiment, people.
Hey. we will count that as well. And then Bango to close it out says, I don't know if I'll be able to check in because of work. Fucking pigs.
How are we going to pay the bills this week, Nick?
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to make it. I don't know how we're going to make it the next week without Bango. But he says, but I'll throw Cade Skywalker in as a fucking cool Jedi. There you go. He's like Han Solo meets Luke Skywalker meets
That's
Tyler
probably
Durden.
the best explanation for Cade.
I mean, honestly, yeah. Like he's a little bit more jacked than Tyler Durden, but yeah, like pretty fucking close. Pretty fucking close.
All right.
So,
well, thank you.
Good call there by Bango. So that is the end of the question of the week. Thank you, everybody, for taking part. If you want to take part in question of the week, make sure you're either in our Discord, following our YouTube community, or following us on Instagram at starwarstime.show and respond to our question of the week post. Next up, we are moving to the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. Again, make sure to follow us at starwarstime.show on Instagram and tag us at starwarstime.show. Add tag to fall into the place where I pick the top 5 from.
Amen.
So, to kick off this week, we just talked about Star Wars Rick. He loves Qui-Gon Jinn, thinks he looks cool. He must think that Luke Skywalker looks cool as well, because this is Star Wars Rick giving us a look at Luke Skywalker standing in front of the twin setting suns of Tatooine, leaning against his speeder right there. And man, he just doesn't even know the life that's in front of him, this young farm boy. Matt, I don't know if does this figure just look cross-eyed to you?
Let me get a closer look here. Yeah, it kind of looks like Luke might have been huffing some chemicals back in the shed there after he gave C-3PO an oil bath.
Yeah. He might have had to grease those.
You're right. It doesn't look like there's anything behind those eyes. It just looks like he's an empty vessel.
he's high on spice.
I don't know what happened, because I've heard that this farm boy Luke, it's kind of a reissue, but I've heard it's the best. But I don't know. Maybe it's the way the light reflected. But you are right. He kind of looks like
What? He looks like he's
Uncle Owen, what am I doing out here? I forget my name.
He's definitely inhaled too much of a certain substance in the Star Wars galaxy.
That's more than spice, brother. Like he's huffing the fumes of his land speeder at this point in time.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, I mean, good posing, good background usage, everything here Star Wars Rick could do, he did it well.
Yeah, it's not Rick's fault that this Luke figure decided to take up hardcore drugs, okay?
Indeed. All right, next up, we got Mr. Stormtrooper
You almost
Davis.
had to pair the Mr. Toylord version of this. It's the same person in real life, but Mr. Toylord is his Lego account, and he recreated this same shot with the Lego figs. But this is an excellent one as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this looks sick as hell. So what you see is Kylo Ren.
Prime Kylo. This Kylo should have stayed like this, right?
Yeah.
Mask on, jaggy clothes. Don't clean him up, Ryan.
Yeah, just like TFA Kylo, sick looking, flanked by 2 First Order troopers, walking down the bridge of a First Order vessel. I mean, you even get a little bit of the J.J. Abrams lens flare in there, just giving full props to the TFA era Kylo. I mean, clean looking shot, posing is fantastic. Everything looks great on this one for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, this like as scene recreated as it gets, and Mr. Stormtrooper excels at blending the real with the digital. I can't even really tell where the digital starts and the real begins. That's how well they are at mashing this together. But like I said, check out this person's other account, Mr. Toylord. Quality Lego Star Wars stuff that just happened to mirror this Black Series shot.
Beautiful. So make sure to follow both Mr. Stormtrooper Davis and Mr. Toylord on Instagram.
I've been looking up golf equipment just based on my ads.
Your ads, they're hitting you hard.
I bought a launch monitor like a dickhead.
All right, next up we got Mando Mugshots, and Mando Mugshots is giving us an awesome look at Vader as he makes his way through the tunnels in the Hoth Rebel base. Shot. Just getting ready to absolutely murder these 2 Rebel troopers, snow troopers that are running away from him. ignited lightsaber, perfect use of the atmosphere at the bottom of the shot, catching that cold snow atmosphere, and the diorama that they're using.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's like
perfect.
I take it back. Mando Mugshots is the best at blending digital backgrounds with practical, because I don't know how you do this, because I know that's a shot probably from the film or the internet, but somehow the way Mando shoots to perspective, it looks natural. It does look like he's actually coming down a hallway. I know adding in some of it looks like maybe flour up there in that crate helps to sell the effect, but damn, as someone that does use digital backgrounds these days, it's hard to give them depth like Mando has achieved here. So kudos to the mug shots. Good looking technique work there.
Indeed. Next up, we have JZHZ6669.
This is like, holy shit, people.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely some.
What are we doing?
Some insane level stuff. I mean, JZHC has definitely become one of the fastest growing toy photographers that we've seen in a while, and the quality of work.
You can tell the algorithm like this one. I mean, he's almost up to 3,000 thumbs up on this.
Yeah, lots of likes, and I mean, just look at this. I mean, this is all toy photography that he has blended together into this absolutely incredible Bad Batch poster, and like the things that he's put together, the posing on the figures, the additional things that he's done in Photoshop and everything. It's absolutely beautiful work here from JZHC. This is definitely a poster that you would hang on the wall for sure.
This is someone that doesn't need to use AI to make their stuff look more creative. They just have that built in through practice and hard work. Yeah. But it's as we say around here, if you've never heard this segment, it's a wall hanger. Okay.
Yeah.
I would proudly display this in SWTS HQ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like, Divide is like, yo, I need a print. Sign me up. Linda, good to see you, Linda. We haven't seen you live in a minute. Nice to see you, Linda Matsumoto coming in.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, man. I mean, come on, JZHC, if you're listening, let's go.
Yeah,
we're here for you.
Get it up there. Like
people will buy it.
If you are interested in making a print shop, people will definitely purchase your items.
I really like my T-shirt today. Yeah,
nice.
It's my Funko Pop Scav Ray with C-3PO. I think BB-8's in there too. This back from my previous life when I was a Funko fanatic. All right.
Yeah, Haywood Pop.
Came from somewhere. All right, buddy. Moving on.
And the final one this week, we have Drew Originals, and Drew Originals has given us an awesome look at Stormtroopers on the field of battle. We got Stormtroopers, 5 Stormtroopers lined up. Got the commander in the back. He got the fodder in the front. They're working their way through a battlefield. Awesome background usage as well. I mean, you can see the exhaust of a Star Destroyer in the background. You got TIE fighters there as well. The explosions, the bokeh, the laser shots. This is an action-packed shot here. And it's from, I mean, he says the Battlefront. And I can tell you right now, if you look at those old Battlefront game covers, this looks like it comes straight off.
It's awesome. I mean, it is another one where just a perfect blending of a digital background with practical assets. As Nick said, the posing is fantastic. It feels alive. It feels like they're ready to start dodging lasers at this point in time. These guys are shooting all over the place. So I absolutely dig this. And real quick before you shut us down, I just saw, and this just goes to show you, like, no one likes us or really recognizes what we do, especially for toy photography. They're going to have a fucking toy photography panel at Star Wars Celebration Japan, moderated by people that don't talk about toy photography every week or have been doing it for 6 years. It's kind of funny. And guess who's on the panel? 1.6 shooter, plastic action, nose rain, guys we've interviewed on the show. It's like, okay, I see how it is, my friends. I see how it is. But this is why when you people are like, hey, how come you guys aren't any bigger or doing this type of stuff? That's why. No one ever considers us, even though we do this every fucking week. We're the first people to do it on YouTube. We interviewed most of the toy photography community for a year straight back during COVID. But would we be considered to host that, considering it's our fucking bag? Absolutely not. Why would we? Why would we? Probably because I pissed all those people off. That's why. All right. Go ahead, Nick. Close it out.
That is the end of it. That's the end of top 5. That's the end of our show for this week.
Of course, we should be running the panel divided. Give me a break. Yeah.
I mean, we did kind of create this whole like toy photo feature on podcast.
We at least know how to talk to them and interview them and ask them. I mean, whatever. It really doesn't bother me that much, but it is something I just like. Oh, there's another thing. It's like, fuck those two guys. You know, screw their hard work. Who cares? All right. So there you go. Little pouty shit. You don't get pouty Matt much at all anymore, people. So just bear with me here. All right, Nick. I know you kind of put it to bed. Sorry to cut you off. I'll go ahead and get this thing wrapped because I'm the one that yaps too much anyways. So we love all you. Glad that some of you showed up today. It didn't seem to be as active as a show as we are used to, but that's fine. We're still here. We'll be here next Wednesday, like I said, talking about cool looking Sith. Maybe more of the long timers will come in and hang out. But we appreciate every one of you every week, giving any amount of your time, or those of you that are channel members, any amount of your hard-earned money. We do see it, we appreciate it, and we speak your names. All right, my friends, in between now and next Wednesday, make sure to check in on the Star Wars Time Show networks. We got YouTube. We usually put out clips every day. Those will go to TikTok, Instagram, sometimes to Twitter. You never know. We never stop. We have content literally coming out of our wazoos every single day of the week. No other show puts out the amount of content that people don't watch than the Star Wars Time Show. All right? There's always time for Star Wars Time. One day we may not have StarWarsTime.net. That plan is in the works, so I can't say to just always go there at this point in time. Just check our socials. Check the YouTube channel. If you are watching live right now or recorded, why don't you go ahead and hit that little thumbs up, leave a comment, send the link to a friend, because there's always time for Star Wars Time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.